When you come into that role, obviously you're interviewing, you realize they have a good mission that they're trying to accomplish. And I mean, I'm sure reservations thinking about coming to a group that hasn't had it before. So what's kind of your approach when you get into the role and start doing the work that you were brought in to do?
It's all about people. When I joined Nationwide, it was not my first intention to at all start changing or fixing anything. I really wanted to get to know the people that I was going to have the privilege to serve with every single day.
Welcome into the Independent Thinking Podcast. This is your host, Rob Stott. This is our first episode coming out of primetime in Nashville earlier this month, and it was, we could say anything we want to say about how Nashville was. Quite the show, as every primetime is, especially when you're in the heart of Music City, just steps from Broadway. And just a plug before we dive into this episode that, if you want to see what went on, relive some of the action, and catch up on all the primetime happenings, you can head to the Nationwide website, nationwidegroup.org, and our Independent Thinking page. And there you'll find a primetime hub that we are using to share all the videos, all the interviews, all of the Facebook Lives, everything that we did during the show down there in Nashville. You can access right on that page and relive it all, and of course get prepped as well for Las Vegas this coming March. So set your calendars now for the Venetian Expo out there in Las Vegas. So, but one of the things we did get to do while we were together in Nashville was secure a lot of great content. Some of that content we're still continuing to publish in the forms of podcasts and other things that you'll see come out over the coming weeks and months here from Nationwide Marketing Group. And kicking that off on the podcast here with an interview that we sat down with Kelley Kenner-Patridge, our Chief People Officer of Nationwide Marketing Group. And it's kind of that follow-up episode to this conversation we had with Sweet Dreams just a week ago, and talking about the impact of human resources and a department that's well thought out and what it can do to a company's culture and, set your team up for success. And when I say Kelley has walked the walk and walked the talk, really, in what she's done, I mean, this is a woman who helped build from the ground up a human resources department that was, Nationwide didn't really have in formation or formally prior to her joining the team in 2019, and hit the ground quite literally running, running to get to know the people, running to get to know, the ins and outs of this industry. And it has, resulted in so many great things for Nationwide, but now too, what we're seeing as we, again, follow up from the conversation with Sweet Dreams and Greg and Catherine, it's that our members are benefiting from it as well. And, neat to see what Kelley has done, what her team has done to be able to not only provide a great service to our employees here at Nationwide, but to the membership as well. So really fun conversation. Happy to have been able to do it in person, at primetime in Nashville. So let's just dive right into it. This is Kelley Kenner-Patridge here on the Independent Thinking Podcast.
All right, we are back on the Independent Thinking Podcast, coming to you. You can tell if you're watching the video version of this. We're high above the show floor in Nashville.
We are.
At the Music City Center, watching it come to life behind us. This is such a cool perspective.
It is. It is.
It's incredible.
The transformation is incredible. So we were on the floor yesterday, and now I've come, this is the second day, so we have seen the transformation from yesterday and can't wait to see it tomorrow.
It's going to be neat. But to have it come to life, but to be able to sit up here in our lounge, our perch high above it, with Miss Kelley Kenner-Patridge, our VP and Chief People Officer of the Talent Leadership Center. Yes. Appreciate you taking the time, stepping just slightly off of the floor and away from the action for a minute to sit down for our podcast.
Thanks, Rob.
How you doing?
I'm good. It's been a really good day. Had an opportunity to connect with a few of our members and speak with them about what their needs are and hopefully able to meet those.
Yeah, well, what I love about getting to do this, because we've planned one, been wanting to do one, right?
Yes.
But the timing of this is perfect because just recently, for our podcast listeners, we had Sweet Dreams and Greg Law and Catherine Gow's on the podcast to talk about. They gushed over you guys. I just have to say, they gushed over the TLC team and what you're doing. And I mean, we dove into HR and what, Catherine, that's what she does. Greg's sister saw an opportunity to kind of transform that business, and want to take the opportunity to follow up and hear from our side, because they've leaned into our services. But you've got a really awesome story that I'm looking forward to diving into.
Oh, thank you. Thank
but
you.
Appreciate you again, just having the time and being willing to do this despite your
Rob,
reservations.
You talk me into any and everything.
Got to be persuasive. What can I say? Well, so what's cool about our stories too is that not only are we both from Philly, we have a Philly connection.
Yes, we do.
But we also started at Nationwide not too far apart from one another. So 2019, I was October. You were a few months prior?
I was
Is that right?
July.
July? Okay.
Yes.
So we're like 3 months apart. And for anyone that knows Nationwide, I mean, there was no, they had human resources and to an extent, but there was no department.
Yes. I love the story. I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, but I distinctly remember coming in and interviewing with Tom and team. And the reason why they wanted to have a HR person in-house sold me into wanting to come here and be part of the team. They said they wanted someone that the people in the business would be at the center of this individual's desk.
Love
That care and that attention, that is fantastic. And so anyway, we've been on this 4-year journey together, and we've been able to do some pretty neat things. But listen, in everything that we have done, we are going to celebrate the wins, but we also know that we've got some more things to do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, start from when you come into that role. Obviously, you're interviewing. You realize they have a good mission that they're trying to accomplish, and bringing you in to do this. I mean, I'm sure reservations thinking about coming to a group that hasn't had it before. So what's kind of your approach when you get into the role and start doing the work that you were brought in to do?
Absolutely. We just heard this most dynamic presenter today, right?
Mr. Scott Mann. I should say Lieutenant Colonel
I was
Scott
going
Mann.
to say Lieutenant
Get
Scott,
that correct.
Scott Mann. He said one thing that resonated with everyone, and that is, it's all about people. When I joined Nationwide, it was not my first intention to at all start changing or fixing anything. I really wanted to get to know the people that I was going to have the privilege to serve with every single day. So first and foremost, I built the relationship, deepening the trust, being transparent for people to get to know who I am, and actively listening and asking those questions. What is it that you're looking for that we can help build together? And so that was my initial approach. After about 60, 90 days, probably more like 90 days, 120 days, because actually I was hired 2 weeks before prime time in New Orleans.
Why is that? We gotta you're HR. I gotta talk to you. We gotta stop doing that, like bringing people in before shows. Why is that the thing?
Oh goodness! But we're gonna throw you in the fire. But we are there to support you.
No better way to let.
We are there to support you.
Hey, no better way to learn either.
So, so that was the first. And, a little time after, we started talking about what is it that the organization needed? What was it that the people really needed to start thriving? And what do we need to do to build high impactful teams, deepen the relationship with the people that we work with? Right. And so we were intentional. First is we looked at, do we have the right systems in place? Right. What additional talent are we going to need on the human resources team to be able to accomplish these goals?
Yeah.
All the while surveying, asking about the needs. So, it's in, and then you start there. And I know that sounds so basic.
But when you're starting from ground zero, it has to be, right?
Right, because here's the thing. If you don't, the adoption becomes even more challenging.
Right.
So if people are saying this is what we're needing, then you say, let's figure out how we get there. And when you do, it is, hey, these are the things that you were asking for. Here's what we have. And we'll continue to look at this, grow it, change it, massage it, do whatever we need so it really becomes authentically ours, right? So, and that's really the key, is starting basic, talking to people, and then figuring out where in that space specifically do we start making those changes.
Well, it's funny, I'm sitting here thinking about it too while you're talking, and you mentioned the point about the people that your team needs to thrive. And I think back to some of the podcasts we've done, early podcasts. We had Chris Kuster on just a few weeks into doing this thing, and talking about the speed of trust and the program that he's built there. And we've had John Duisberg, who is with Cool Leaf, and the program that we run there. And I'm starting to think we've not talked on the pod, but we've had HR discussions, before having you on here, and it's clear just the approach and the different ways you can. It's not all policies, right? Like, that's obviously an important part of it, and a key part of any HR department, but it's those things that are sort of building out the culture, right? And everything else that you're doing to just make this a place people want to be.
Absolutely. Work is done through people. And so when you have built a place where people want to come, when you have a culture where people are seen and they feel that they belong, a place where we have created an environment where we want you to speak up so that we can hear your ideas. Those things make the difference. I think also too, when you were talking with John and Chris and just, and absolutely Sweet Dreams, culture is everything. And we've spent a lot of time, and I know you know this to be true, right? Because, you're there at every town hall. You're there every time I personally have reached out to you and said, hey, I want to bounce this off of you, right? That's the culture piece at play, right? And we're intentional about it.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I've had this conversation with Chris. I think I had it with Chris. I think I've had it with John on here as well. It's easy for it to be perceived as like something cliche that a company is trying to do, right? And and it comes off like, oh, they're just, culture's like a buzzword that people want to say because it's something they think they want to build. But the way it's done, and because we're in the prime example of what nationwide culture is like, and being at prime time, and you see the teams come together and just how we collaborate every day through Microsoft Teams and the tools that we have and the conversations that are had, but this is the embodiment of all that. So, and it to your point, we're intentional about it, but it's also almost become sort of second nature, where I think for a lot of us, speaking for me, I think it's not something I think about. It's
Absolutely.
It's because it's become something that we were intentional about. And now it's just, like I said, second nature.
And think about that. You don't even think about it. It's second nature. It actually drives who we hire. Because it's so ingrained in us. We are looking for those specific behaviors that meet our core values of trust, leadership, and collaboration. It drives who we hire. It drives who gets to the next level. It drives promotions. You've been promoted.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Just recently, yes.
Yes. It matters.
Yeah.
And so when we are doing primetime, when we are here serving, it just comes out of our pores. Our members feel it.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And it's a neat concept too, because it's just neat to see it happen organically, because that's definitely how it's been. It feels that way, and really, when you look back on it, it's only been 4 years.
Just 4 years.
This change has all happened within 4 years.
It's amazing.
So what's that mean to you? When you think about that, kind of what you've seen, your hands are all over this, and you're what the department is, and the it is. You gotta take the credit where it's due. I mean, it's.
You are so kind.
But it's the truth. So what's the feeling you get when you see what the TLC team has become?
It moves me. I am incredibly proud. And it's not me. It is because, and let me tell you why it's not me. It's not me because we have people that you and I get to work with every day that says, this is what we believe in. These are the behaviors that are important to us. Mm-hmm. These are the core values. This is what it looks like to be a high performer here. Yeah. We believe in transparency as much as we can, right? We are pretty transparent. I think it's those type of attributes, those characteristics that have really fed into the creation of the things that you and I are benefiting from. That, yes, just the conduit, the talent and leadership team is the conduit by which some of these things come up from. I'm really, really proud. Something that I definitely want listeners to know is something we always talk about at Nationwide, and we've been more intentional recently about doing this, and that is celebrating successes, right? We've done a lot, right, together. We don't always stop and celebrate. Yeah. And now when you ask me that question, I'm thinking, my goodness, I don't think we've ever stopped to really celebrate. Like, we've done some pretty good work around here, right?
You certainly have. And if it
in the HR department, right?
If it comes in the form of a podcast and me asking a question, like, I'm glad that we can do it that way. But
yes, I'm incredibly proud and excited. Right? Because it's like you see what you have been able to accomplish collectively.
And you know what's next.
And you know you can do more.
And you know what's next. And well, we mentioned that, and kind of a perfect segue to talk about sort of what you've done. We mentioned Sweet Dreams at the top. Yeah. And, watching Nationwide kind of grow its own HR initiative and what we're doing here, what you're doing here. Yeah. To now we're able to turn around and offer that. And it's a program that's being built out. I know every day there's work being done on the membership side. So what's that been like? So
it's been a lot of fun. We've had an opportunity to really connect and work with our members. Sweet Dreams is a wonderful partner with us as well. Sherman's has been a wonderful partner with us. We created an HR council from this. Yeah. So what we are looking to do is continue offering training and create some new training spaces for our members. And then, of course, one of the questions that we consistently get is, hey, can you share resources? Yeah. So what can we do to absolutely begin to share resources with our members that ask? It's a place where they can find vendors, in the people space. Right. Be able to find, hey, Kelley, where can I get forms? Hey, Kelley, I'm looking for this one specific piece. Where can I go? So finding those vendors, finding that space where we can meet what our members are asking of us.
Which again is to reference the keynote from this morning, something Tom said, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of the ideas that seem like they come out of the Nationwide team, It's really the members that come to us. Absolutely. They need this help. They have a challenge they need to tackle, and we're there to help them do that. And you mentioned the partnerships. It's also being able to lean into you two, you guys, right? So to be able to call on you as a team and know that they've got some exceptional talent as a resource to bounce ideas off of, and they may be facing challenges as well.
And our members have been fantastic in recognizing that, and have asked us to actually come out and lead these types of training, or they'll pick up a phone, they'll call me. Kelley, I'm running into this particular challenge. Chris, I'm running into this particular challenge. Donna, we are here to help to the best of our ability to navigate this space. Listen, we are beautiful creatures. We are complex and challenging all at the same time, right? And can you imagine, in the context of running a business, being able to navigate the space that you have all these individual souls that are unique in their own special way. So how do we pull everyone together? And I'm thinking, so here's a fun fact. So Rob, I started taking rowing classes, being from Philadelphia, right? On the Schuylkill.
The regattas that always go on.
The regattas. So we have this new
Boathouse Row.
We have this new workout facility is called the row house.
Okay.
And so I'm starting to row. So using the analogy of, how can we help members be in their proverbial boat, and everyone rowing the same way.
Right.
So we're here to do some consultative pieces. We are here to, if it makes sense, to be able to come out and provide that. We can even zoom in through Teams or Zoom to be able to support. At the end of the day, these ideas are driven by our members.
No, that's awesome. And I mean, not asking, don't call out a member that maybe, they don't want to have their name mentioned or anything like that, but any unique surprises come out of this for you in talking with the members and working with them that you're like, oh, well, that's maybe a challenge I never thought about from an HR perspective that you're able to navigate them through?
Yes, I have. You know what? I'm just going to say, yep, I have.
Well, that's good enough.
I'm going to say that. Yes, but here's the reason why that's fantastic. I am constantly learning.
Yeah.
You can never say you know everything.
Right.
And here's the other thing. By a member calling myself or Chris or anyone on our team and speaking confidentially to us, right? If this is seen in any other business, we at least have a blueprint now.
Yeah.
And we could provide not only what we believe to be, a path,
Right.
but we can also say it from a path of, hey, there's been another member that has had a similar experience.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think that is the type of information that people are needing to be able to navigate this people space.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I appreciate that answer, even though it's from a journalistic perspective, you're like, oh, you didn't answer that question. But really you did, because it shows that, members can call on you and use you as that resource, someone that, from that HR perspective that they can go to and have trust in, that you're there to support them
Absolutely.
and protect them.
Absolutely, absolutely, and confidentially.
Right, correct. Well, this is awesome. I think it's a really unique story that we get to tell, and I'm happy that I got to do it with you here in Nashville, and look forward to seeing more of those stories, more of those sweet dreams examples of members that are leaning into you and your team and benefiting here at Nationwide. So
thank you.
Appreciate you doing it. See,
Rob,
we got through
thank
it.
you so much. This was fun.
That's great. All right.
Thank you.
You bet. Awesome, and thank you again to Kelley, my Philly homegirl. Just such a great conversation. Someone so well spoken and so smart in what she does. Didn't even get to talk about the fact that she is part of. I believe still a member of SHRM, the Society of Human Resources Management. So someone that taps into a community herself of human resource professionals to just continue to learn and evolve and do some really great things for, again, us at Nationwide and our members as well. So appreciate her. And as always, appreciate you listening to the Independent Thinking Podcast. And we'll catch you next time.